held land in Europe, either in France or in Spain for the better part of 2 years, with basically a bunch of yellowish level players. And a lot of that was achieved by just being organizationally solid and making sure that everybody understood their role. And so what we're going to do with these trainings is start out at a very, very, very basic level where we just talk about certain fundamentals that we want to um, implement. And then just as we sort of play more, either in practice rooms or in training rooms or in the actual strongholds, after every match, we'll break it down a little bit and we'll talk about, okay, well, this is where the positioning was wrong, this is where the calls were wrong, and things like that. But it's something that I want to do a lot more moving forward. I'm thinking at least once a week, where I'll let you guys know in advance. Hey, this is when we're going to be doing it. This is what time we're going to be doing it at, and we'll get together and we'll run some strongholds, and we'll sort of get better at doing that type of stuff. But in order to actually start that, you got to have some of the fundamentals. So we'll talk about this as we go through it, both from the perspective of the player, who's trying to play in the strongholds, and also as the caller who's trying to herd the sheep. And it's you'll find that ultimately they have the same job. And one of the things that I always try to stress when I'm teaching callers is that you don't want to micromanage too much. You want to try to avoid that as much as possible. And it's really player dependent. Some players need or like a little bit more micromanagement than others. Some like a little bit more independence than others. But at the end of the day, we all have to be pulling in the same direction in order for us to be successful. So, if you're too independent and you get yourself killed, that's to the detriment of the team. If you're Blake Griffin and you punch somebody in the face and you break your hand, that's to the detriment of the team. It might feel good for you at the moment, but that's not what we're about. And so we have to make these decisions together. And so one of the things that I want to stress is that not only is it on the caller to not micromanage, it's on the player. When you play in any organized format, it's not just, all I have to do is just listen to the caller and do exactly what the caller says, and that's how you be successful. That's not really how you be successful. You need to have some level of independence, and we'll talk about what that means and how much independence you should actually have when we go through this practice. But it's not, again, I don't want you to think that all I have to do is just listen to instructions to be successful, because it's not. It's a little bit more than that, and we'll talk about that. With basically it comes down to three different things. At any given point in time, you have a choice between three different options, and you need to decide which option that you need to take. And the other thing that I want to talk about is that when we do this as a team. So if somebody makes a bad decision, you got to back your brother's play. If they make a bad decision and he's going to die, then you all have to die. Don't, if and then you can yell at that guy after the match. But if it's an ill-advised push, you all still have to go. And that's sort of part of the game. And the idea is that over time you'll make less of those ill-advised pushes, because you'll recognize those situations better. But it's better to all die together than to die one at a time, in my opinion. So when I'm calling these matches, if you guys die as a team, I'm fine with that. If you guys are dying because you're poking foolishly one at a time, right? That's not okay. That's not what we're looking for. So let's keep that in mind. This is a team game. All right, so we're going to get started. And so what we're going to talk about here is initially from the caller's perspective. My general theory for playing tier A strongholds is that you send most of your tanks in one direction and you have a weak side scout. So you'll generally run 2 scouts and, what is it? Is it 8 total? There's 10 total tanks, right? So 8, so you'll send 8 of your tanks. So we've actually got a pretty good lineup here. So like what will happen is, like, if everybody from the teams goes to, like, the opposite team from me should go to, let's just say, start out in B7, and my team should start out in G9, right? And so what we'll do is we'll send a scout out, right, to the 8 line. So I'll run that way, and then we'll send one weak side scout the other way, and I'll talk about what that role is. And so right now I'm just going to have you guys all sitting out in the open, and that's okay, because I just want to show just the sort of rationale for why you lead with your strength. And then, so like in this scenario, what I'll do is I'll send a weak side scout the other way, which will usually from the north spawn be in that F2 area, and from the south spawn it will be in like that H3, H4-ish area. And so the idea for the weak side scout is that if they push that way, you want to be able to spot them and still be able to get out. You don't want to ever get yourself ISO'd as a weak side scout. The weak side scout's the most difficult position to play. Because you need to know how to not get yourself killed, and you also need to know how to control the vision lanes. And so let's say that we have the same matchup here, and let's pretend that we have 2 scouts and 8 heavies on either side, and let's say that the scouts both detect on each side that the team is going to be sent to the east. So we both have the exact same amount of intel right now, and let's say that we're all going to move into the ditch. And so generally what happens when you move, so let's go ahead and move down into this low ground. So you guys go ahead and move into the low ground on that B area, and my team will move down to the low ground over by me. And so let's say we have this intel. And so a lot of times what we'll do is we'll set up, you'll set up on this line right here. So you'll set up a couple of IS-3s in echelon about where I'm at, right? So you can see down this area. I'm going to get out of the way for the IS-3s. Right, and then all you guys are doing, you're not really trying to poke out here per se, right? But you're hulled down, so you're relatively safe. Your job is to hold these guys back so that they don't drive forward into this area. Oh my god! Hey, From, your mic is killing us.
Sorry.
Okay, so let's say this is the situation. So, you know what I was talking about, there's always 3 options at any single time for any caller. So the options are for any caller is going to be attack, retreat, or do nothing. And sometimes if they don't actually say anything, that means do nothing. But so it'll be attack, retreat, or do nothing. And so in this situation, generally what they'll say is do nothing. And so do nothing doesn't mean just hide, although sometimes they can say hide. Like if you haven't been spotted on your side, he might say hide. And then you don't set up an echelon, you'll maybe have 1 guy, but you don't necessarily do that. But if he says nothing, then really what that means is defend. So that means you guys need to maintain control over the area that you're in so that people can't attack into you. So the IS-3s are spotting this 9 line here, right? But you always have to be thinking, if the call is to do nothing, you always have to be thinking of, okay, we know that there's some IS-3s that are up ahead of us straight on. Where else can we possibly be attacked from? And where you can be attacked from is this middle plateau that I'm on right now, right? And so generally what you'll do is you'll send one of your IS-3s into this area right here if you're this north spawn. Right? And this IS-3 will watch this plane right here, if you guys can look where I'm at. And so this makes sure that you guys don't get pushed from this way. Now, you don't normally have the scout do this. The strong side scout that normally gets the early intel will then go back and either watch the middle or go assist the other scout. Usually, unless you're about to push, you don't bring in the strong side scout. So you can just leave them out there. So I usually put it like a 5100 there. And I'll do the same thing up here on my side, on the south side. We'll leave an IS-3 back either up at this rock over here or more ideally right here. Right, and then this guy is watching this middle plane as well. And that just makes sure that they don't push through the middle level without you actually seeing them. All right, so it's just when you're in this sort of do nothing mode, the idea is always how to fortify your position, how to cover your position by understanding where you have vision and where you can be attacked from. Okay, and then now let's say that you know there's only, like I said, there's only 3 calls. So if it's do nothing, it's control your area and make sure that you can't get pushed without you knowing it in advance. And the retreat call is fairly simple. It is turn around and leave. Sometimes it's retreat slowly. Sometimes it's just turn around and get the fuck out. And then there's the attack. And then so attacking is generally where there's the most micromanagement, because then the caller will say, okay, let's send 3 of our IS-3s up top, and let's leave everyone else down low, and we'll push some IS-3s up over through this middle area here to try to get into a position where we can be more flanking. And then let's say that we want to push the corner. So my team moved forward here. So let's say that we get up into this area over here. Let's say for whatever reason you guys weren't watching, and now we're all up on this next corner over where I'm at. And so this goes the same either way. And you wouldn't necessarily push into an equal force frontally. So for each team, just pretend like the other team has half as many tanks as they do right now. So you're sitting here going, oh, well, I've got 7 tanks here, and let's say they've got 4, right? So what you're looking to do is to push around the corner. Now, if you're pushing around a corner to a fortified position, it's not super easy, right? You have numbers, but you're going to take damage. And so one of the things that you want to do whenever you're driving anywhere as a team, you never want to drive in a single file line. Like, see where Turkey is right here? So Turkey's the lead guy here. So if Turkey wants to breach this corner, it's Turkey that should come around this corner, right? And he's going to be the guy that gets shot. And then as soon as he gets shot, he should stop. So usually the first guy around the corner is the guy that's going to take some damage, and then he's going to stop. So you don't want to be behind Turkey following him in. You want to be that next guy in that comes around over here, because Turkey's going to take some damage and some attention. And in the meantime, the second plus everyone else is going to drive in behind him. Does that make sense to you guys? Because Turkey's going to be the one that gets shot first, because he's going to be the one that breaches. But you don't want to be the guy that breaches. You don't want to continue forward, right? As soon as Turkey moves forward, gets these guys' attention, gets shot, he needs to stop and start pulling back, right? And then he can basically play this corner, right, as long as they're not aiming at him to continue to get damage. Okay, does anybody have questions on that, on what we mean by that?
I just want to know, after, since I get shot, when they push, do they push close to me, or they try to go closer to them?
No, they push past you.
All
So
right.
again, remember in this scenario, the opposite team has half as many tanks as you, right?
Oh, okay.
But you still don't want to lose the first guy. If you push in the first guy, even if you're fighting against half as many tanks, you're going to lose the first guy. I mean, as it is, you might lose the second guy in, but that's okay, right? Losing one guy in order to kill 4 on their team, totally worth it, right? And so when we're breaching corners, 2 things: don't be in a single file line, right? You want to be, especially in strongholds, there's very rarely ever any artillery. So you want to be like 3 to 4 deep, right? So you want to be stacked like 3, 4, even 5 wide if the area that you're working through allows it, right? So that you don't run into each other. And then that way also you can stop at any time that you want to shoot. Okay, so basically how both sides are set up right now is good. You know, you've got a big wide stance, and that's fine. And so that's general rule of thumb. Whenever you're driving anywhere, don't drive in a straight line. Oh, I'm sorry, in a single file line. Sorry, what was that?
That was his mic. Please don't regard it.
Oh, okay. Okay, and so that's pretty much what I want to see when we're pushing corners. A lot of times, what you'll want to do is focus fire, and usually what will happen is whoever's calling will say, okay, as we they'll be yelling. It'll be, I don't know if you guys have ever watched like Wiggle games or anything like that. Well, actually, I guess you probably don't hear what we're talking about, but basically, as the callers plane, right? So if I drive through and let's pretend I'm on the enemy team and I'm driving through on my team right now, I'll be like, okay, well, kill Haas, right? Let's say he's the low one, right? Pick and call the target, and what your guys' job is that should be the primary target. Now, the way that focus fire works is that you should prioritize the focus fire target, but if you don't have a shot on the focus fire target, take the best available shot. Like if Aquatic Turkey is the guy that's damaged in the back and he doesn't really have a shot on Haas without overexposing himself, then just take the shot that you do have, right? And the other thing that we're going to be stressing, along with focus fire, is sharing health. Particularly when we talk about once you see one of your teammates get around to about half health, and you're still at full health, you got to start thinking about being in front of him, right? Okay, so that's pretty much all that I wanted to talk about, at least in this sort of initial training. And that's this idea that there's only from the caller's point of view. I don't want you guys to over micromanage. I want you to talk about things after matches about where people should have gone and what they should have done. I think especially early on, we're going to have a lot of corrections for scouting positions and intel. And it's one of those things where, like, for example, on this map, we got intel that both of the teams were going in the same direction, but what if you sent your strong side scout out on this east side and they didn't see anything, or you just saw their weak side scout? Then you would assume that they went the other way. Then how do you set up your positioning on this side, right? You bring your guys all up onto all of your IS-3s up onto the middle plateau, and then you send your two scouts out and you play north-south with your scouts until you get some intel, and then you decide how you want to attack into them. But generally speaking, if you don't spot the enemy, you want to fortify yourself in a good position and send your scouts out and have your scouts get you some intel intelligently. And that's not always possible, because when we play these strongholds, right, it's a random map, so sometimes you'll get maps that aren't really amenable to scouting, like Himmelsdorf or a map like that where it's a lot of areas, and so you'll want to use your heavies a little bit more in terms of controlling lanes and pushing through areas together rather than relying on scouting. But on open maps like this, you want to make sure that you use your scouts, and your scouts need to play it smart. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about for the scouts is that you have to know when to come in and help your team, and you have to know when to push onto a weak side flank. Like if you see the entire enemy team is lit, take up all that ground and see if you can get around to the side. Call your weak side or your strong side scout over to help you. One of the things that I've always hated about the way that people play strongholds and tournament play is that a lot of times they'll send their weak side scout in alone. A lot of times, once your strong side scout does his job, right, and in this case, like if we all move east and you know that both teams move east, usually, unless you feel like they're going to push right away or you're going to push right away, you'll usually send your strong side scout that scouted out this east side back out to the west, right? And then you'll either have a 2-on-1 against their weak side scout, or you can move in through a flank. But you kind of want to get those guys together if you've already got the intel that you need. And if you know you are going to push, go ahead and call in the weak side scout to come and help you guys. You want to manipulate the numbers as best you can to create an advantage. And so I forgot the other thing that I want to talk about. So the types of advantages that we want to create are very, very simple. If there's a 30-second gap, if there's a 30-second window in which you can be outnumbered against the enemy team, you want to try to push those odds. So let's say that the North team was split evenly and they had 4 down low and they had 4 up high. Then if they're far enough apart, you can push one group before the other group can respond. And if you have a 30-second window, that's 2 to 3 shots per tank, right? And so if you've got 8 tanks against their 4, you're going that 30-second window is going to be devastating. Was that 15 minutes?
Yep.
Damn. Okay, that 15-minute window, I'm sorry, that 15-minute window, that 30-second window is going to be devastating. So if you can find those types of advantages where you have that 30-second window, you want to try to look to take advantage of that. And as a team, as a player, you whenever you're in that hold position, you always want to be thinking about being ready to push, right? And so as a caller, generally what I'll try to do is say, hey, we're going to push here in 10 seconds. Right, and that'll give you guys some time if you're facing the wrong direction, like, or if you're watching one plateau and I want you to, like if we have one of the IS3s watching that middle plateau, but I want everyone to go down low for whatever reason, that'll give you time, that guy, whoever's watching up top, enough time to reposition to get down low. Give your guys a little bit of heads up. Sometimes you need to push now because the windows are very small. And we'll sort of make those decisions as we go along. But that's the type of thing that we're going to be looking for.
I quit the room. Sorry, I don't know why I did that.
Say again?
I quit the room without. I don't know why I did that. Can you invite me again?
He wants another invite.
Turkey's a noob.
Yeah. Thanks.
And then if you just left the room but you didn't exit it, like if the training window is still on that bottom bar, you can just hit battle again and you'll be back in the battle.
So Zeven, your focus is going to be for tier 8 strongholds?
No, we'll do 6s as well. We can potentially do 10s if we get the numbers, but I generally find that 10s aren't very populated, so I don't think that that's something that we should focus on necessarily. I think if we do, if we decide to do a mini campaign or a clan tournament or something like that, we'll do some training with 10s, but for the most part, it'll be 8s and 6s for strongholds, just because those are the easiest games to get.
Other problem with 10s is I'm pretty sure a lot of people here don't have any.
Well, I mean, like I said, that assumes that we have the numbers.
Yeah.
Is Bison actually in chat?
Yes, he just joined us.
Okay. Can you hop in an 8?
Whoa, Bison is a B.
Yeah, Bison, your mic's buzzing instead of talking.
Or whatever sound that bison make.
Sorry about that.
That was him talking. All right. Let's do just a little run through. We'll do the same map. You guys can go any direction that you want. Let's see, who should I have organized? Oh, here, hang on. Let me move Ichabod on the other team. So Ichabod, you'll run team 2. Who else wants to call? Don't everyone speak at once. All right, well, I'll call for team 1 then. So let's see, I need an IS6 back. Although I'll have intel, I think, but it's fine.
Instead of so many scouts, would it be better if I got on a Tiger 2 instead of a 1390?
Yeah, let's get down to 2 scouts per team if we can. And like I said, if you have a Pershing or a T-32 or I need one more scout on team 1, 6L, so you go back to your scout, that'll be fine.
All right, I'll stay with the. I'll stay with the. I'll stay with the lightweight.
Yeah, you actually had a lightweight. I don't know how good the 1390 really is.
I mean, 1390 is good, but lightweight's better.
Yeah, we should make Fu a caller. His voice would be unmistakable.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Did you want to practice calling Fu?
I suppose we could do that. Yeah, why not?
All right. Well, that way I won't have any prescient information. So what we'll do here is it'll just be basically a live fire practice of play this just like you would a stronghold. And basically what will happen is we'll run it through, and we'll sit down afterwards, and we'll break it down in terms of what I saw as good or bad, and then we'll go and run some strongholds, and as long as it looks like everybody's on the same page, and we'll get some practice that way. Alrighty, so if you're on team 2, go ahead and drop down to Strongholds 2. If you're on team 1, go
User
down
left
to
your
Strongholds.
channel. Left your channel. User 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 joined your channel.
Welcome to the
User
best side
joined
of
your channel.
Strongholds.
Scrubbiest strongholds NA.
Hey, did they ever get their and Cam ever get their mic problems?
Uh,
I think it was just Mac
Yeah.
that does having really bad mic problems.
yeah, we can hear you, Herm. It's fine.
I just don't want to leave it open too long, or you guys will hear some Star Trek Next Generation in the background.
Worse things have
User
happened.
joined your channel. User joined your
Give me a
channel.
second, guys. I need to do something here.
Sure.
User left your channel.
What did you hear about that experience, Ichabod?
Huh?
I was making fun. I left my mic on one day. I was like, "What did you hear?"
Wow. This is going to be unfortunate. So,
Oh,
Why?
Khaled, do you want to go weak or strong?
We are gonna know where they're gonna be.
well, on this map, I mean, it's kind of dumb not to push down that side. But I don't. Scouting this map is kind of a pain in the ass because there's so much open space.
User joined your channel. User was moved to your channel.
You could probably leave the weak side scout near the intersection of the road and ridge.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Zeven was talking about not H2, but F2.
User
which is, like,
left your
behind those
channel.
rocks there.
I thought that we were severely underpowered here, and Ichabod was calling, and he basically knew that, from the training before, that where they'd be more than likely. So he sent a couple scouts out just to kind of look over the middle, and then one of the scouts kind of went the wrong way, but then ended up circling back around, seeing the middle wasn't covered. Aquatic was very high here, and that's always a bad idea, just in case they have early T-49 by those rocks. Rocks that are right here. If you're on this side, you can get shots right there. Rest high enough. Definitely something to watch for. If you come up, you want to be on this side of the hill. So you're in fast medium and then still, that is really dangerous. Like where Scalawag is right there, he open to a bad side shot. So generally try to avoid that. Now here, start forming the line, and I remember what Zeven was about this little pocket here as being kind of like backdoor protection, and possibly might have been able to get a few shots there. They all stayed pretty disciplined and down there. I'll wait a couple moments just to see if anybody crests, and nobody did, so I decided to go down and get in this line. And by this time, they had already been focusing on the T-32 and took him down to 50%. I get here in this line, and I missed my first few shots. It's at range, it's tough. I didn't want to be in front of 6 guns at once, so kind of play sparingly. And here we go. I'll get some bounces up there too. We're finally starting to do some damage. Lose our T-50, our T-32, and this is when the lulls come in, because we start seeing the IS-6s shooting HE, which is hilarious in that, and I usually have talks and with is there's a huge weak spot right above 30 or 40 armor, and even though it's 175 pin on that IS-6, you can easily overmatch that, get a shot in there. Now, while the argument is generally HE always does damage and it knocks out crew members, generally people can, like if I'm in my IS-3, I will ignore IS-6 and kill everybody else around him while he's busy shooting me with HE. The DPM is just, 30, 40, 80 a hit at minimum, maybe 180 tops. With that slow fire rate, it's completely not. You'll be shooting APCR or HE, you're generally gonna have a bad time. It's really not that bad. Start shooting, even if it's drive wheels, and crack them out where you can, this team can get shots firing HE. I had a good laugh out of it. Stop to type in chat because it was great. And here we see the lights. They got both of their lights taken care of. I'm not sure what the good trade was out there, but that was really key for us. In that eventually they get to flank them. We're trading okay up here. Who is having a lot of trouble with gun depression. You see him getting antsy here. He's gonna do the cardinal rule, which is he shouldn't have been up there in the first place trying to shoot with that, because between the gun depression and bad lower plate, there's no way for him really to get any shots there. If anything, he should have been on the backside, but here in Ikaba, I was getting stuck up there like we were talking about earlier. I'm still too far back. Usually when you're engaging, and even if you're clipping, you don't want to be back further than you have to be, because they know that essentially your gun's out of the fight. You always want to have the intimidation or clip, in my opinion. And then once you're ready, what you have to do is just pop up just a little bit and having to drive all the way up. Try to work on that myself, not reach far back. Have to shots. Makes your DPM a lot higher because you have to go less far to get your shot in. And Still pretty close. Our team finally getting away behind. I'm still not connecting on any of my shots, which is interesting. But I'm not even worried about it because a couple of them are shooting HE at me. And then finally they get a good shot into my lower plate. Right? And they rush in. Who had died just a bit before that, which... he's right. Lower plate exposed. Tiger 2. Bison's by himself there and taken out. I die here. I had a shot. I wasn't even gonna bother aiming in, but lower plate. For some reason he gets a snap before I do. I had it pushed, but dims the brakes, right? It's pretty much just clean. GG's. Fun. Pressed by the trick.
Effective, but I think you guys traded a little bit worse early on. You lost one of your IS-3, IS-6s early, and that's always gonna hurt. But otherwise, I thought you guys all did fairly well. So what I'd like to do now is do one more just on a different map. I probably should have switched the map there just so that you guys didn't do the same thing that we did in the training. But overall, I thought you guys had pretty good movement. One thing for the two T-54s that were from the South team, I forget who it was, Sixel and Rolling Tigers. I thought it was a good move for you guys to push up that west, but you guys got a little bit too far apart. So when one of you engaged, the other one was still too far away, and that ended up really hurting you because their T-49 was across the map, but you weren't able to parlay that into getting their T-54 down, and you guys actually ended up both dying. If you guys are a little bit closer together, then when you run into their enemy scout, because I think the T-49 got spotted over on that other side. You know where they're at, so you know you're only going to run into one. So stay together, and you'll be able to take out that scout before he gets backed up like that.
Hey, do you know?
But otherwise,
you know your IS-6s.
No. That's not a good move.
They were.
I got some splash damage.
Yeah, a lot of times, especially when you're up against hull down IS-3s, if you just shoot above the mantlet, it's a weak spot there, so you can pen through just above the gun basically. So you should be looking to do that with regular AP, APCR, whatever you want to use. So we'll do one more on a map of my choice. So let's go ahead and go back to our rooms. We'll do one more, and then we'll actually get through some strong.
User left.
I just want to say the map is Cliff. I think you guys are on the south. Good luck. No, you're on the north. Sorry, but still good luck. Poke me when you're ready.
We're ready.
Bam.
We should talk some strategy.
User left your channel.
Let's win.
Yeah, let's
User
do the
joined
winning
your
thing.
channel.
Well, where are you guys going?
Let me think about this because I
User in your channel timed
put
out.
One scout
User
on
entered
the
your channel.
2-line, one on the hill. Put the IS-3s in the middle, and we'll flex from there.
You want the hill or that little ridge thing behind the rock?
Lighthouse.
Yeah, go all the way up.
So heavies go low road
Do
and
you
then
want
dive
some
into the middle?
heavies? 1, 2?
No.
Or not?
Heavies go up and into the middle at the base of the lighthouse hill.
Gotcha.
All right.
All right, Scally, do you want 2-line or do you want lighthouse?
I'll take 2-line.
Okay.
if you go two line, I think it's good if you just climb the hill like as fast as you can, so you get
But
spots.
I
and-
want him there so that he can see if they are doing a two-line sweep into the donut.
Yeah, so he just needs to rush, right? Like just
Rush
one
to the
pass by
corner,
and
but
then
don't
go up.
die.
There's a
Oh, okay.
bush on the corner you can sit in.
So do some
Alright.
passive scouting. Got you.
Yeah, passive two-line initially.
Want the T-32 to follow the IS-3?
Yes, T-32 with the IS-3s.
There's a pretty good spot for the T-32, like right in the middle of the map. You can just go there and be hold down.
Yeah, where North Spawn will be going up the ramp on like the sea line. T-32 can continue straight to straight along that cliff edge and get in the hull down bowl at like D middle of the map.
All right.
So they don't have any. Okay, so they do have one IS-6. Does everybody know where to pen an IS-6?
Pretty
Everywhere.
much everywhere.
User
Yeah.
joined your
Right.
channel.
All right, we're gonna get started.
Okay. All right. I think everybody's good.
And if you get no shots on the S6 hole, I think you can just shoot right next to the left of the gun. It's gonna pin most of the time.
You can try the cheeks, yeah, but make sure you have a PCR loaded for that. Yep, what Disser said.
You can click where you want the T-32 to go.
D5 next to that rock.
All right.
All right. Also, when you're leaving cap, break these boxes. Whoever gets there first.
Looks like I'll be driving right at him.
Yep. Scalawag, if you get lit, let me know. Hello. It's alright.
Scalawag, if you were lit, back off and run.
Shit, sorry, man.
Are we Justin?
Nope. Scalawag, back off.
Running.
I got you covered.
Looks like they started going around the 9 line.
Yeah, I'll poke up. I might get lit up though.
Crap. Okay.
User joined your channel.
Yeah, I think they went around back. I'm not sure what the Tigers did. Oh, there.
Alright, I'm not going to be able to outspot this lightweight.
100 is going to be on their ass soon.
From how many shots do you have left?
They're
All of
around.
them.
They're behind you.
Come with me.
Push into these heavies.
Flag it.
Shit, we're getting flanked.
Yeah, watch his
Push-
IS-3s behind
Push
you.
Tiger 2, push IS-6.
Oh.
Okay, turn around.
Need some help?
2 shots left.
Lightweight, or the 50-100 is on clip. Good job, Greg. And the other lightweight's going to be sniping you, so just be aware of that.
Do that.
Yep. Watch 5100 behind you.
AMX is almost dead.
Yeah, everyone go kill him, please. Good job.
He's down.
Push into him, boys.
Clean this up.
Start with the low health tank. Get that gun out. Good job. Make sure you use HE for Hoss, just because.
Sorry, I couldn't.
All right, guys.
GG boys.
Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves, but wait here. I'm going to come back, and then we'll go back to the meeting room after that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sure.
User left your channel.
Sorry if I stepped on your toes there.
No, man. I deliberately let you do it so that I could flex over and try to hold off that the lightweight and the 50 hundo. So, all in all, did pretty well.
The gut depression on this thing on the hill is terrible. It's like you're gonna have to climb down to get any shots.
Stolen wiggle strats for the win.
Hey, whatever. Everybody shot really well.
One thing though, I think the light tank should have went up the hill and rejoined with the heavies, so he doesn't die alone below the hill.
I told him if he got spotted, he should run.
Oh, all right.
Wow, damn, Robbie got 2 clips out. Well, almost.
No, I think it was good. Good, you guys identified the split pretty early and then just pushed those guys. That worked pretty well.
Yeah, that's kind of the advantage of clustering your heavies mid, because if the south, the more viable strat is to push around the 9 line, and if so, you can take out their rear guard and then turn around and finish them off.
Yeah, that's why I was asking if we were adjusting, because I figured they were going to go around that way. I didn't know that they would. Well.
Yeah, they actually screwed themselves by doing that, which is interesting.
I'll give credit for Blue Bride guy who kind of held them coming around the corner.
Spot out in the open.
Much credit.
He kind of sacrificed himself to slow down their push so you could finish up.
Hey, sometimes that's what you need to do. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
User joined your channel.
Alrighty. So I thought you guys did pretty well. It was actually a really close game, despite the fact that you guys won with like 6 or 7 tanks. There were a lot of low health tanks or lowish health tanks, and that's what we like to see though. Some sharing of the health. A couple of things is that you guys recognize that they were pushing around the lighthouse, and when you recognize that they're pushing around the lighthouse like that, I think it was Easily that pointed it out. As soon as you hear that, you go all in on that middle, right? You wait until they get to the point of no return around that lighthouse, and you just crush them in the middle, right? Because they've given themselves too much of a gap there, because it's going to take them, a minute to get around all the way around the lighthouse. And if you guys just push in on those guys, don't leave anybody behind to catch those guys as they come out. Just push in on those guys and crush them in the middle, right? That's what those are the things that you're looking for. So when you get that type of intel where you know that they're splitting, figure out, okay, well, how can I crush the guys that are remaining? Or, if it's easier, go crush the guys that are coming around the lighthouse, whichever one ends up being easier. In this case, pushing through that middle was the right call. The other option is pushing towards the 54 and the 5100 that are on the other side. But since those tanks are faster, it's usually easier for them to potentially get away if they see you coming.
Yeah, I saw 3 Russians pop around the the 8-9 line and just said push.
Right. Yeah, and so, but what I'm saying is that I saw whoever was playing the T-32 stayed back. Like, don't leave anybody back. Nobody needs to stay back to defend that. If they're split, what you want is to have just overwhelming numbers on their split for as long as you can.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think that was a good call. The other thing is that I saw one of your IS-6s push out at their 5100 and their T-54 lightweight.
Yep.
You don't ISO yourself like that.
Yeah, that
stay
was
with the team.
not a call.
Yeah, I'm saying stay with the team unless somebody tells you to do that. Sometimes you do need to move a tank out to hold somebody through some area for whatever reason. At least just say, hey, to prevent this guy from poking. But you very rarely want to just drive into them, and so you want to try to stay within the framework. And so if the call is, hey, they're split, let's kill them in the middle, everybody's just got to be focused on that task.
That was my call, and it was me that went out there.
All right, that's fine. I'm just saying that's again, you're looking to exploit mismatches. So those are the type of windows that you'll be looking for.
My thinking there was I just didn't want the 5000 to come around and start clipping those guys in the back. So.
Yeah, but again, so from the caller's perspective, it's all about the total health pool. Like if you go out there and lose your health pool, then it's just the same as if he shot your guys while you were killing the rest of their team, right? And at least it's a longer range shot for him to have to try to hit.
Okay.
So don't think about sacrificing one tank. I mean, even if it's a 5100 that's out there, if you're going to drive over there to engage him, he's still going to be able to shoot you, and that's still taking health off the board. So you might as well be with your team, making the shots hard on him, or at least make him have to drive over to you, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's especially whenever you see their split like that, that's when you know that everybody's got to go all in and hammer.
Yeah. From there, he hit really hard shots onto Russian heavies, and crossing to go get him. We would have risked getting or taking more damage than his 1800 clip.
Yeah. All right. So continue to talk amongst yourselves, and whenever you guys are done, go back to the idle meeting room.
User left your channel.
Okay.
Bri, you did move up out of the position I wanted you in. You would not have taken damage had you stayed in the that 5-line hole. Just commentary there.
Okay, I've got to call it a night, guys. So Hermeticus can take my...
For the evening, well, I just wanted to talk about a couple of things. Thanks for coming out and participating, everybody. So what I want to do moving forward, like I said, is run some strongholds, at least once a week. I'm not going to be around this weekend, unfortunately, so I won't be able to run anything. But I'll run some strongholds when I get back. I'm picking Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'll let you guys know in advance. But we'll basically run through these general principles. Of course, if you guys want to run some strongholds on your own whenever you want, you're more than welcome to. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say. So you guys should be attached to the financial unit in the stronghold. So if you click on the stronghold tab all the way at the top, and then you click on the financial unit, which is the thing just above the command center. And then you click on the little, looks like a bunch of people there. It says garrison. And then you want to attach yourself to the financial center. And that's basically where we put all of the funds to make the battle payments. And so when we use those battle payments to give you guys bonus credits to all of the to any battle that you're in, that's from there. Unfortunately, I have to do a dinner thing tonight, so I can't run strongholds tonight. But we probably, the next time we run this, we won't run training rooms. We'll just go ahead and start hopping into some strongholds and getting you guys. We'll sort of tweak things as we go along. Really, what I'd like to see is just you play out your match, you listen to your caller, and then we'll make we'll take a minute or two after every match to talk about what happened and what we can do better.